Hey there, today let's make some crazy eyeball nails. First, I'm going to go in with a sticky base coat. This base coat actually really sucks. It's not really sticky, as we'll kind of see later on. I bought this crazy fake silicone hand from Amazon. It's actually really creepy, but we're going to name it. We're going to call it Kimmy with an IE because my Kimmy silicone hand likes to be different. We're going to use the butt side of these nail art tools. You could use a paintbrush or anything that has kind of a rounded butt side will work just fine. We're going to basically make a little puddle of white lacquer, and we're going to dip the butt side of whatever you happen to find into the lacquer. Roll it around because you kind of need it to go up the sides to create kind of a larger circle. And then we're just going to push it into a jelly stamper. The deeper you push it, the bigger the eyeball. If you just push it a little bit, you'll get a smaller eyeball. So we're just going to go in, dip it again, and fill in all of the bald spots in our eyeball. We need to let the base coat dry a little bit, and we need to let the eyeball dry a little bit. We're going to go ahead and actually do one of the iris parts of the eyeball here. And it's the exact same method. The only difference is we don't push as deep so that the iris part is smaller than the white part of the eyeball. I had one that was sitting here that was already dry, so I'm going to go ahead and put the white part of the eyeball down. I like to put it at the very tips of the nails because it kind of looks like it's floating or something. It's a little bit weird. I just put a little bit of base coat just on that one because it had been sitting there dry for a long time and it needed to be a little bit tacky so that the stamp sticks to it. We'll just keep going down the line, keep adding the white part of the eyeball, which apparently is called the sclera. For the iris part of the eyeball, you want to choose polishes that are a little bit transparent and have a little bit of a sheen or a color shifting kind of quality to them. Magnetic polish works really, really great for this, but really anything with kind of a sheen works really great for this. So this is how sticky that sticky base coat is that I put down. It's really not sticky at all. But when you put the iris down, or at least when I put the iris down, for each eyeball, I kind of chose to have it looking in a different direction. That's why I called them crazy eyes. With a large daughter tool, I'm just going to go in and put a black dot for the iris in the middle of each eyeball. I also chose a different color of nail polish for each eyeball iris. The hardest part about this was just waiting for everything to dry. I have multiple jelly stampers, which makes this a lot easier. If you only have one, it's probably going to take a little bit longer. Using the front side of one of the butt side tools, you can honestly just use a smaller daughter tool for this, but I think that this tool is actually intended for picking up like little gems, but I found it to work really well for this. I'm just going to add some little light reflections into the eyeball to give it a little bit more dimension. Then with some very thin nail polish, you can use some thinner if you need to water it down. I'm going to use a liner brush and then just add some veins into the sclera of each eyeball. Once this is done, you can honestly leave them like this. It's really kind of cute. They just look like little crazy eyes. So when you wiggle your fingers, it's just really funny looking. I like to use gel top coat whenever I'm doing stamping. And so for this design, to add like a little bit more interest and depth into it, you can go over the top of this with a matte top coat and then go over the top of just the eyeball part of that with a glossy top coat. And that will really make it stand out. I'm going to go ahead and make these a little bit creepier by adding some like eyeball gunk as though the eyeballs have popped out. So what I'm going to do is just kind of layer this. I'm going to start out with some very watered down white nail polish and just kind of add a base. There's absolutely nothing that needs to be perfect about this whatsoever. It's honestly just using a liner brush and drawing a bunch of squiggles. You can see here I'm adding some red now, and I'm just going to go around kind of over the top of those squiggles and add a little bit of this kind of red. It is mixed with the white a little bit, so it's kind of a toned down kind of pinkish color. Got to make sure to add some eyeball gunk wisps here and there. Then I'm going to use a true red, like this is a cherry red kind of color. We'll just go over bits and pieces of the eyeball gunk with this red. And again, all this is really doing is adding a little bit of dimension. Want to make sure to kind of go around the sides of the eyeball a little bit to make it look more like the gunk is actually truly attached and coming from the eyeball. Now I'm just going to do the exact same thing with an even darker kind of reddish color. Adding a few blood drops just here and there on the sclera part of the eyeball. Not too much, just little tiny drops here and there. Once that's all done and I'm satisfied, I'm going to go in with a gel polish matte top coat and then cure that for 90 seconds or whatever is on your matte top coat label. Once it's cured, go ahead and just wipe off the dispersion layer. For the next part, you can use a regular glossy top coat or you can use a gel glossy top coat. I just opted for a gel glossy top coat. And for that part, you really just want to cover the eyeball and the eyeball gunk with just that to make it look like it's wet. Cure it and wipe off the dispersion layer or just let it dry and that's it. I think this design is just really funny. Honestly, I was entertained for like an entire week when I did this on my own hand. Just wiggling my hands around. It was pretty funny. You can see how like the polish that I used has that, it's got like that shifting kind of chromatic color thing happening. And it really, really adds dimension to the eyeballs. I think the blue eyeball on the thumb here is probably my favorite.